Just to piggyback onto the previous video I did, which was a stitch with a teacher that was talking about the state of education, I think that we probably, maybe as a society, whatever that means, we probably should have a look into where this could potentially go, because this is an opportunity to fix this. It really is. The idea of getting rid of the one-size-fits-all education, which in my view has never been a good idea. I think that's a terrible idea. And trying to make everybody into cookie cutters. You know, it's like, you have to understand some of the history of modern education. For those of you who don't know, the Rockefeller was the one who pushed a lot of what we is colloquially referred to in historical sense as Prussian education. This idea of taking kids and then making them into little cookie cutters where they know how to run the machines and they're just literate enough to not hurt themselves or others, mostly, while they're running the machines of industry, but they're not really literate enough in terms of active literacy to really know what's going on. In other words, it's sort of that I want a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers. And that model really needs to be done away with. And I think teachers now, this is just me talking to teachers at this point, I think at this point the idea of presenting material, which is what I talked about before, which is you're trying to present material to young people, getting them to memorize it, and then calling that's education. That's not really education. I really think that education is going to have to shift, like, drastically. And I'm talking to teachers who actually enjoy teaching. So I'm not talking about people who are just there for the benefits and to work for the school system so that they have permanent job security kind of thing. For those of you who really genuinely love teaching, you know, you can set up a classroom in your garage if you have to and take in private students, 10 or 12 at a time with private tuition being paid directly to you. If you have the room to put up like a 40 by 60 shop building or a pole building, do something like that. And I mean, like, because kids, I meant what I said. Kids learn very quickly, and they like to learn about the stuff that interests them. So maybe focus in on that, and then you can weave in the rest of it. I'm not saying this, I'm not critiquing your teaching style. That's not what I'm doing. I have my own style, and I'm abrasive in my teaching style, which is why I don't take very many students in my lifetime. But I think that there's a way to weave in a lot of good stuff. I used the example years ago of a fire hydrant that, okay, kids, where'd the fire hydrant come from? Let's go do a field trip. Let's go to the company that makes them, and then go through the whole process of how they're made. And there's so much you can pull out of that. There's math lessons, there's marketing lessons, not just but I mean, like, all of this different kinds of stuff. The logistics of what it takes to ship in the materials, to ship out the materials, the final product, all these kinds of things. There's a lot of real on the ground stuff that kids can learn that they're not learning now. This is, we see this all the time where kids, they'll do these TikTok videos, younger people, I don't want to say not kids, but like younger people, they'll do these videos like, why did I never learn about insurance, how insurance works? It's because that's not profitable to the so-called factory owners, even though there's no factories anymore. Nobody built anything anymore. Not in the US, it's all built in other countries, unfortunately. It should be built here. We should have people learning how to use steel lathes and all. We should be doing all that, but we don't. I mean, let's be real. The powers that be are trying to replace Americans. You can be all pissed off about it, about my opinion on that, but like, dude, it's becoming less my opinion, and it's becoming more of just kind of objective. Like, dude, look out your window. We don't have to. We may argue about the different color, the different shade of blue that the sky is, but we can, I think, agree. We can get somewhat of a consensus that the sky is, in fact, a shade of blue in general. And this is what's going. It's obvious. It's obvious what's going on here, and it's destructive to younger people because it's making them nihilistic. They're looking at the future and going, "This is going to suck. how are we going to survive on this? Like, how is this supposed to work? How did this work for my grandparents? How is this supposed to work for my parents, especially when they see their parents or parent struggling and they're just trying to survive themselves? So this is certainly true for a lot of millennials. Now, I say this as a Gen Xer, but I'm kind of near the end of Gen X, so or the tail end of it, I suppose. And we all see this kind of stuff. So I think that now is the time. You have an opportunity now, teachers, to screw your teaching certificate and your academic credentials. That stuff really, like, stop hanging your personality on your academic credentials and instead start looking at results. Because the real world, that's all the real world really gives a shit about, is the result. That's for real. That's every job that you will ever have, or every business that you'll ever start, the customer cares about a result. That's just how it is. And we have too many people that are concerned about the academic pursuit as opposed to the end result, like the end product of what we're producing. So I really think that teachers out there probably should start looking at going on your own and leaving the comfort of academia, and definitely leaving behind the politics of academia. And I'm not talking about the politics. I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about. The stupid politics of you can't teach that or don't teach. Like, no, stop. You can do whatever you want. It's your curriculum. You can set your own curriculum, and you can negotiate with the parents. And the parents at that point are paying customers. That is the proper role of that is the proper role of any business. The paying customer. Well, but what if they don't want to have me teach their kids? Okay, well then you find another customer, right? And just remember the rules they're not. And these are kind of the rules that I teach. But just remember rules in business. If you have somebody that's 25% of your business, you probably need more customers. Okay, if you have one customer, one client that makes up 25% of your volume, you really need to look for other customers. You need to get more customers out there, because otherwise that one customer can make or break you. So, it doesn't mean that you need to stick to your curriculum, but it's a two-way street. So, and I think that the teachers need to start learning that kind of stuff. They're going to have to start learning the business aspect of education and say, okay, well, hey, I can do this. This is what my tuition fee is. And you can also say, well, I can't do it all because I need help. Okay, well, you can also make part of that maybe a scholarship. So one of your students, if their parent wants to come in and TA with you for 3-4 hours a day or something like that, once a week. And the mind can only absorb what the butt can endure. Frankly, it's always been a little weird to me that you got kids cooped up for 8-10 hours a day. Dude, I think that most kids, after about 3 hours, there's no need for homework. There's no need for any of that stuff. Not at least on a steady diet of homework, in my opinion. There's really no reason for that. I mean, you can give like an assignment, but I don't know that like having this steady flow of homework is really a good idea. I really do think that you can get more done in a fairly short period of time. And then as far as like how to reach kids, again, you're going to have to reach them by appealing to what it is that they have an interest in. So when I was a kid, how you would have reached me would have been physics. You would have gotten my attention. Physics, chemistry, all these like that. You would have gotten my interest. That would have got my attention very quickly. And you have to zero in on that kind of stuff. So, you have to look at what it is that kids want. And it's, in my opinion, and again, remember, all of this, I think I'm saying, this is all my opinion. This is just me on the outside looking in. And from a kid's perspective, that I do think that like having 30, 40, 50 kids, like that's probably just too many. For real. It probably needs to be around about a dozen or so. Maybe a little more, but just my opinion. You people do whatever you want to do.